Hawks head and Fans United. Welcome back to the nest of the Hawks Hangouts. Today, with me, like always, I got my main man, Corey. Corey, bit disappointed this week, mate.
Yeah, a little bit disappointed, mate, but we'll move on. We're still on that top of the table. Big, huge game coming up against Melbourne United on Saturday. Looking forward to it. I'm feeling a little bit nervous, but to calm those nerves, we've got a couple of beers, mate. Terrible day to be a beer again.
Absolutely.
So first little shout out again to Seeker, Unanderra Brewery there. This is a Sun God West Coast Pilsner. They've done a little collab with his boy Elroy, the greatest burger joint in the Southern Hemisphere. I'm saying it. I know it's a big call. Shout out to Lockie, absolute legend of a bloke, great business. Love their stuff. What about you, bud?
And I have got the Huck Hazy. Shout out to the Hawks. It's got a little hawk on the front of it. That's such a good drop.
Beautiful. All right, so we're going to review the game that we had against Adelaide. So this game, I felt it was always going to be a tough one. Adelaide was super desperate. They needed this one. They're a very tough team at home. And they came out of the gates like a rocket. They went for 63 points in that first half. And I remember watching it with a mate saying, oh, they can go cold, but 63, they're on target for 100 here, but they only went for 28 in the second half. So they definitely slowed down. Davis had 15 of those 28 in the second half. So he was the main guy for Adelaide in that second half. But Adelaide, the big thing for him, I think, in that team going forward is they had 5 scorers in that whole game. So that's a huge thing. Our biggest thing is our depth. We get lots of people contributing here and there. Well, they only had 5 scorers and only 3 people scored for them in the second half. DJ, no neck, no good. Vasiljevic, he didn't even score in the second half. Did not score in the second half. So what did you think of our guys, though? Who was big for the Hawks?
Big, massive shout out. We'll get to him in a second. But big Sammy Froling coming off a 35, 13 and 2 after only coming off a 6-point game the week before. Yeah. He had an absolutely huge night.
Career night.
It was just immaculate to watch. They should have kept finding him in the paint. We had a bit of a chat before jumping on here today. It was the best offense in the league versus the worst defense in the league. Yeah. Yet we were only at 88 points for the entirety of the game. And 35 of those were big Sammy Froling. So it goes to show that our defense and our offense needs to start stepping up when it's getting in these desperate games. Now, there was a comment that was made in the press conference after the game, Corey, and it's something that I wanted to discuss with you while we're on there.
Yeah.
They were talking about how all of these teams that are desperate, that are at the bottom, like your Cairns, like your New Zealand, like your Adelaide, they play this type of basketball that Sam would like to call it road basketball.
Yeah.
Now, what I interpreted that as is there was just no structure. You take a look at it, and it was 5 scorers across the board that just scored. That was it. It didn't matter who had the ball, whether it was Montrez, whether it was Humphreys, whether it was KD. That didn't matter who had the ball. They were just going to chuck it up, or they were going to just throw it around. And that's what they were doing. That's what they played. It was like watching under 18s play. It was just
and that type of basketball can be dangerous at times because if they catch fire, and KD did catch fire, and he was hitting mid ranges and did well, but it was not the sort of basketball I like to watch. It was very much like ISO plays, very NBA style basketball, where a certain player would control that particular possession and take the shot. And KD is very good at that. He's got a little bit of cotton about him in that way. And it can be dangerous if teams go off, but if they don't, they can get blown out. And that's happened to those teams down the bottom a few times. So when that style doesn't work, it can lead to getting blown out. But also when teams get going and flowing, and Adelaide have that sort of cockiness about them and arrogance where when things are going, like you see Montrezl Harrell, every time he does something, he's getting involved with the crowd and piping up after every single play, like a steal or a block or a rebound or a dunk or a three. Like he's getting involved. He's like hyped.
Yeah.
And they were super hyped in that first half, but they sort of fell away in the second half. And I think a big part of that game was traditionally Froling's had some trouble with Humphreys. Humphreys has done really well against him. And Humphreys started unbelievably in that game. He had 8 points early. I don't think he scored again. It was, again, the curse of the multi, mate. I had him 15 plus. He looked like he was a certainty. I had Kell as well, not 15. He was 9 at quarter time. Didn't score for the rest of the game. Unbelievable. So I had some people cashed out on that early. But Humphreys has been really dominant over Froling, and he was early, but then he went off and he was subbed off for a little bit, and then Froling got into his groove.
Yeah,
and he found his range, and he started getting confidence up. And then when they brought Humphries back on, it was too late because Froling was just feeling it.
Yeah,
and then he took over and got us right back into the game. Then our man, Days of Thunder, he was having a shocker. It wasn't a Days of Thunder. It was more like a little shower, sun shower. He was having a shocker early. Then, just from nowhere, couple of days, beautiful. He's off there hitting 4 shots in a row, and from absolutely nowhere, we all had a chance to win the game with the last shot. Yeah. It was incredible. From absolutely nowhere, he couldn't hit anything. Couldn't hit the side of a bus. Then, bang, 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 and he's got that in him. We saw it when he played for Shanghai in that game in the preseason where he just went 6 almost in a row. He's got that in him.
Yeah.
Man, he's just left it late. If that game goes to overtime, I reckon we've got him. What do you reckon?
I don't reckon the last shot should have gone to Harvey. I know he comes up big in clutch, and he very much has that him mentality when it comes down to the clutch. You had Kell open, you had Days open, wide open, and he had just, as you said, hit 4 threes back to back to back to back to back. You know, it's like Thor had come down from the heavens and gone, my man, what are you doing? Bring the thunder. And he did. And then
he was just hitting it. Even as people were in his face, he was hitting it. But it was pretty tough. That last play was a bit of a scramble. Kell got the rebound. It was on the floor on his back. He popped it up to Wani. Love Wani, but probably not the greatest guy to have the ball in their hands, trying to make a decision whether to pass and who to get it to. Like court vision is probably not his strong point. He just found Harvey could have been better. Days would have been a great option because he was on fire, but could have been a lot worse. Like Harvey can hit those shots. He's done it plenty of times in the past. Tough shot. There was talks then. I watched the little sneaky replay of it because they didn't show it on the coverage, so I rewound it and had a look myself. KD deliberately goes to foul him because he's smart play because he didn't want the 3, but he grabs him around the waist as a deliberate foul to so he go to the line to shoot 2 and not be able to hit the 3. But the foul doesn't get called, so then Harvey's off balance, so he's no chance of hitting the 3. And I think that's what some complaints were towards the end of the game there. In the end, if he hits those 2, there's still not much time left anyway, so we're probably still going to lose the game, but it probably had a little bit of an impact.
I mean, the impact it would have just been for points percentage, which as we're coming to the rough end of this season, it starts to matter more and more and more. And we'll talk about it when we look at the Brisbane game, but these bottom feeder teams that are still eat it, like your New Zealand, like your Adelaide, like Brisbane, they're playing hard. They're playing desperate because they know that they've still got a chance to make the 6. So
100%. And there's no easy games. Like our great man, Corey's Homicide Williams would say, it's no cupcake league. There's no easy games in the NBL. As with Sean, we're on top of the table. We'll lose to a team who has a 14, 15-game losing streak. Anything can happen on any given night. Every team has players who can play the game, so you can't take any game for granted. Like even the game against Adelaide, we're down 25, and they were chirping and carrying on, thinking we're going to smash the best team in the comp. And I thought, here we go. We haven't been flogged all season. This is going to be our first hammering of the season. But to the Hawks' credit, they never gave up, and in the end, for that points percentage, it was huge. That even though they lost, I wasn't totally disappointed. I think that showed the great signs that they didn't give up and they got it back within 3 and actually had a chance to level it with the last shot. I thought that showed some really good signs for the Hawks moving forward. They could have definitely let that game get blown out, but they didn't. But now we're going to move on, man, to what you call the best segment on the podcast. Now, some people will disagree, but I'm going to let you have it. All right, let's go. Get up and get out. What do you got this week, my brother?
My get up. We just spoke about him, but big Frols. Absolutely banger of a game. As I said, he came off 6 points, went out there, 35, 13, and 2. He just absolutely dominated. Now, I'm a bit worried about this one, Corey.
Okay.
I've got him in my get up. My only thing is now, it's like your multi.
Oh, have you put the kid to death on him?
I don't know if I'm going to. He's going to have an absolutely huge game. He's coming up. Well, he's coming up against Melbourne. Yeah. So he's coming up against CG. He's coming up against Clark. He's coming up against Delhi.
But these matchups are Marcus Lee and Robbo.
Like,
he's a good actor, but I don't know. He's a good basketball player.
Not particularly.
So, he's actually had a really good season, Rob. I thought he was done. He's got to be 150 years old, but he's actually putting up some great numbers. He could shoot that three. He's going to stretch the floor a little bit, put a little bit of pressure on Froling there because he can hit the three. I think Froling matches up a little bit better on Lee. Lee's a good shot blocker, but I think he matches up a little bit. Lee's not going to drag him out. So it'll be very interesting. Hopefully you can back it up, my man.
I think he will. I definitely think that was the spark that he needed because we knew he had it in him. And
definitely
the three ball, we saw it in the earlier seasons there. The three ball started to develop with the confidence of big games. Maybe that's something that starts getting introduced into this game to make him that real stretch forward that the Hawks have been lacking at the moment.
Yeah.
We talked about it ages ago when we wanted to bring in a player, whoever we could bring in. If that was something that Sam started to develop and he started to develop that free ball with that offensive threat, I honestly believe the Hawks would only go into the market for maybe a 3 guard, maybe a 3 or a 4. I think Sam would stay at that 5 spot.
Yeah.
And it could potentially be the push for him to actually make the NBA. He went and played with the Pacers in the G League for the Summer League.
Yeah.
And it's just something that would be great with.
At least a boomer spot if he can bring that to his game. But it's a huge step for him to take. It's probably going to have to work on it in the off season or wherever he goes in the off season, whether it be NBL 1 or somewhere overseas.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can in those lower leagues develop, get some confidence with it, and then bring it to the NBL. Fingers crossed. What about your get out?
My get out. Now, we talk about it a lot, and I've heard enough of me going on and on and on and on and on about the same things and using the same words on the podcast. But we always go on about our bench depth.
Yeah.
We always attest to how good they are, the depth that we've got, that next man up mentality. Corey, there was 19 bench points in this game. We shot 19 more shots, and we still lost against the worst defensive team. Now, I know we had the chance to come back in the game, and we did. And we fought our way back from 25 down, which is great because come playoff time, we're down. We've got that mentality. We've done worse. It's only 10 points. We've come back from 25 down. We're only down 12. You know, it's one of those things that the boys needed to have happen to them to come back. Obviously, we didn't come away with the win, but that bench has been pivotal in the last few games, and especially in this Melbourne game. It's a high-pressure game for us, isn't it?
Huge. Lots of pressure in that next game. But, yeah, I agree that Adelaide only had 16 bench points, and that was from Jarrell Martin, who I think should be a starter.
Yeah.
So have him as a starter, they would have had 0 bench points, Adelaide.
Yeah.
So we only had 19. We probably expect a little bit more from our bench, to be honest. This worse defense against the best offensive thing, sometimes it's those stats that can't always look too much into them. I feel sometimes it's just really about the head-to-head matchup. Don't worry about best, worst, whatever. And Adelaide just seem to do really well against us. Whether it's they feel good when they play against us or the matchups they feel that they can dominate the matchups. It's happened 3 times. So I think it's not so much about best, worst, and who's whatever in the league and comparing it over a whole season. It's just about that matchup. Like you look at us against the Kings this year, we've done really well. So we've matched up well against them. So that has nothing to do with the best offense or best defense. It's just the matchups across and the confidence that you have when you go against those teams. So I think that's probably more of what it is than necessarily best versus worst. So just got to lock in those certain matchups when we struggle.
Yeah. And it also, one thing that I really want the Hawks to start figuring out with themselves is to not get involved in the antics of other teams.
Yes.
Adelaide is a team that just knows how to get under the skin. And my biggest worry, and we'll talk about it in a second in the Melbourne preview, but Melbourne do it a lot smarter and a lot better than what Adelaide do. Adelaide will just go with it. It's very showmanship. It's very just like a concert, like a musical. They're just out there. Yeah. They'll do it. They just love getting the crowd into it. Melbourne play it smart. You see it with Delhi. You see it with Shea Illy. You see it with the flop himself.
Yeah.
They do it smart and they learn how to get under the skins, and especially Vickerman as well. Like they work the court. They work the refs.
They work the ref. They're really good at doing it. Adelaide, I agree. They were in there in our faces. That little thing just before halftime, I think it was, or was it quarter time? End of quarter, first quarter, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Where Tatum and that said something to the refs. Again, I like that he's sticking up for his players, but then it wasn't the right call. I did think that Hickey got pulled by the leg on the ground by DJ. Still, though, we got to move on from that. Seems like it's happening a lot. Hickey's getting involved in a lot of the niggle for us, which is leading to tech fouls or unsportsmanlike fouls and opportunity for the other team. They got a tech foul like that, and KD went down, knocked down the free throw. You take that away, like it's only a 2-point game at the end there, and
win
then
by 1. Yeah.
If he hits a 3, you can win the game. So those little things, I know we just got to stay out of the niggle, focus and back ourselves because we know we're a good basketball team. Don't need to have that little niggle and rubbish here and there. I do appreciate that JT does stick up for his team because I think that's important as a coach and the players respect him when he does that. Just don't push it too far. That could cost us a big game.
Yeah. Kind of cost us the game in that first Melbourne game, and it's what I'm going to be worried about coming back into this game. He's going to be fired up, and Melbourne are going to try and get away with a lot of things. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's just one of those things where the boys are just going to have to play basketball.
100%.
Just play the game.
Let's move now. That's a good little segue into our preview of arguably the biggest game of the season. It's the top of the table clash. Hawks v United at the WEC. Saturday night, 8 p.m. tip-off. It is going to be buzzing inside that venue. There's going to be a lot of emotions flowing. It is, I think, a super high-pressure game for the Hawks. I know people will be saying, why are you saying the Hawks are not United? The reason is this. The Hawks haven't really been in this sort of position very often. There was a stat the other day, I thought this is the longest time in their franchise history. We're a foundation club that we've been at the top of the table. And I think it's been 30-something days. So this is the longest time ever that we've been at the top of the table. Right? Melbourne live there. All right. They own the land at the top of the table. So they're used to being in those situations. They probably don't really care. But the Hawks have been talking about wanting to finish first and finish top 2. So this is a super high-pressure game because we've been pretty comfortable at the top of the table for most of the season. We started the season well, and we've been pretty much up there the whole time in those top 2 positions.
Yeah.
Now, if they lose this game on Saturday night, they drop to second. And then Perth, who are playing some great basketball, and I think should be the competition favourites, are right on their heels. So all of a sudden, if you lose this one game, you're under the pressure of falling out of the top 2. Not just losing that first position, you're falling out of the top 2. Huge game. It's a big statement game for us. They need to show that they're ready for this and they're up for it and they can deal with pressure because there's going to be more pressure when it comes to the finals and expectation. Can they deal with it? So I think it's a huge statement game. I want to be saying at the end of this game, this is how we do it. Because I want us to be walking away from that game thinking, you know what? We're right in this competition. Let's do it, boys.
Absolutely. And I believe the key of the game for us is to stop the CG43, the Flopmeister himself. 42 points with 10 threes, 30 points off threes.
And that incredible game winner. Wow.
The Aussie Steph, in my opinion.
Yeah.
As much as I hate him, and we'll talk about why in a second, if the game is close, Melbourne will win. They are the best in the comp for close games. They're 5-0 when it's -5 points. They come back and they find a way. We saw it in the New Zealand game.
Yeah.
New Zealand deserved to win that game at home, in front of their home crowd, and they just could not get it done purely for the fact that they just knew which man to hit, and he hit it. He just absolutely hit. Beautiful stroke. He was on form, and he just did it.
He carried them to that victory.
Yeah.
And like you said, they are the best team in the comp by a long way in close games. And you know when it gets to the finals, there will be close games. 5-0 in points, games less than 5. The Hawks, they're 2-7. So they've had a lot of close games, and that is a big concern for me moving forward.
Yeah.
We've only won 2 games when it's been 5 or less points deciding those games, and we've lost 7. That is a concern. We've spoken about it many, many times about our end-of-game management and what we need to do and how we can be a little bit better. I feel Melbourne, in those moments, they love those moments and they know what they're going to do. They know exactly what they're going to do. They're confident in their processes. I'm unsure whether the Hawks know what they're going to do in those end-of-game processes to get the job done, and that is probably my biggest concern. in this game is if it's going to be a close game, can we get the job done?
And it's why I feel like we need to go back to what was working. We had an amazing game against Melbourne there at one stage where we just came out right off the bat, hot as hot could be. We knew exactly what we were doing. We knew what game we wanted to play, and we played our game for the entirety of the game. We didn't let Melbourne have a chance to come back in it, and I believe we won by at least 19 to 20 points. So the margin was fantastic. And
I think Melbourne were a little bit undermanned that game. Did G43 play in that game? I think he may have been.
I think they had a few injuries that game, but still.
Yeah, we 100% we played well. We just got to focus on ourselves. But CG43, I can't even remember him having a bad game against us, if I'm being honest. So he's a concern. Big game, super excited. It's your last game before you head over to Bali, mate. So I'm sure you're going to be in holiday vibes and pretty excited at that game tomorrow. Now I'm going to be pumped.
Oh, yeah.
But now we're going to move on to what I think is the best segment of our podcast. And that's Flog Watch. Now, this week, we might actually consider renaming it for this week. Instead of Flog Watch, we might call it Flop Watch. All right, they've got the greatest flopper in NBL history. So nominees this week for Flog/Flop Watch, we've got Chris Goulding. Don't really think it needs any describing why he's in this nomination. Second nomination is Shea Illy. Now, Shea Illy, he's a good player. I like it. I like him because I think he plays hard. Kiwi guy, plays tough. Yeah. It seems to be getting his nose into a lot of trouble this season. Fairly similar to Sean Bruce and our own Davo Hickey. Seems to follow him a little bit. So that's why he's getting his nomination. Third nomination is going to be a bit controversial because he's one of Australia's favourites.
The Golden Boy.
The Golden Boy. Well, the Rose Gold. Matthew Dellavedova. Sorry, Deli. You're going to get nominated this week. I'm not saying you're going to get it this week because you're probably going up against the biggest flog in the history of the game. So you might be safe, but you're getting a nomination. And the fourth nomination. I've got a fourth. I know. Well, it's the Melbourne United. This is a young guy. Now, I feel bad for him because I don't really know him that well. He did come on in one of the games against the Hawks where we blew them out a little bit. And I think he did hit a 3. He's a DP, but I'm putting him in this week because his last name rhymes with flog. Campbell Blog. You're in Flog Watch this week. Blog the flog.
Blog the flog.
Don't know, mate. I'm just a little bit taking the mick. So, mate, who are you going to say is the biggest flog out of those 4?
I think it's just unanimous. We were talking at the start of this episode, and I believe there should be a new thing in there, and you believe it should be in there too.
A new stat
line.
Oh, a new stat line, especially for this game, I think, yeah.
Absolutely, for this game, there needs to be a special stat line. ESPN, NBL, they need to just put it up on the screen. I don't care who does it. If we have to do it, we'll do it. We'll sit there with a whiteboard if we have to.
Yep. What's it going to be?
But there'll be a flop counter.
A flop counter.
A flop counter on screen.
Check it out on your screens. Or look for it when Goulding's fighting through screens, the flop. He'll flop through a screen any day of the week. So we're going to go. It was pretty obvious. Flog of the week.
Obvious.
43. We know we put usually when whoever named Flog of the Week has a blinder, but you know what? He has a blinder every week anyway, so it doesn't make any difference.
No.
All right, so let's move on. We're going to do our multi for this game. Before we move on to our next preview, our multi for this game, I've got Delhi, 15 plus. Now, he hasn't had a huge season points-wise, but I vividly remember him having an absolute huge game at the WEC a couple of seasons back. I used to bag him saying he can't shoot threes. He's the worst three-point shooter ever. And he dropped like 7 threes and had 30-plus points in that game. It was unbelievable. So I'm going to go in 15 plus. I'm going under. We've looked at the stats before, and we think this might just fall. It could be close. But Melbourne are pretty good defensively, and recent games, they haven't got over 100 points. So they're around that 90 points, 80 points. I'm going under 188.5 points. Then the last one, I'm going Melbourne. I think it's going to be a close game, unfortunately. I'm going Melbourne plus 2.5.
Oof.
So if the Hawks can break that little hoodoo and have a close win, the multi could still come up with if they win by 2 or less.
Yeah.
So, and that is a huge, just a 3-leg multi, that is a huge $13.25. But gamble responsibly.
Absolutely. Now, our last segment for today, as I said, and as Corey said, I will be off. So I will be trying to do this from overseas. Before then, you head overseas as well. Just getting a little bit hectic with the schedule. So we'll just do it quickly. But we've got Brisbane at home on Monday night. Now, for us, if we come off a huge Melbourne game tomorrow night, well, I feel like with a day, we're still playing at home. Before then, we have to go to fly to Cairns for our summer shootout game.
Yes.
Which, again, has a lot of ramifications for both teams. Cairns has nothing to play for. They are eliminated from the comp. All they'll want to do is come in with a vengeance, win against us, and knock us off our position on the ladder. That's all they're going to be coming in for, and knowing that it's a summer shootout game. But for Brisbane, I think the one thing that we have to worry about is Casey Prather. Now, they're suffering a lot of injuries at the moment. They've got Josh Bannon in there. They've got Kyle Adnam in there. No. Josh Adams. Whichever it is.
Josh Adams.
There's too many Adams.
Emmett Nah. They've got Nah in there.
Too many people in there and lots of injuries. Now, they've got Harrison as well, and we don't know if he's going to be injured. And if he is injured, it'll be a big loss.
Huge loss. Harrison, I wasn't a huge fan of him, but this year he's proved me wrong. He's had a big year, probably one of the better bigs in the competition. He didn't play last game. We looked at the injury lists, and it says that he had a concussion. He missed that game, so I don't know whether that's going to lead into him missing this one as well.
Yeah.
If he does, that's a huge out for Brisbane, but I agree with you. Prather needs to be controlled. I'm hoping that all these contract talks and about where he might potentially be going next season could put him off his game slightly, because there's a lot of teams after him and there's a lot of talk about him potentially going to another team in the NBL or potentially going somewhere overseas.
Yeah.
He's been spectacular. But Harrison, for me, is the key to this game, whether he plays or not. Because Brisbane are going to be super desperate. We seem to be running into these teams who desperately need to be winning these games to be a chance to still be in the playoff race.
Yeah.
Similar to when we played Adelaide the other day, they knew if they lost that game, they're pretty much done. They got the job done. This is what worries me about this game. So Brisbane are going to be coming off, though. This will be their 3rd game in 6 days. Hawks, 3rd game in 8 days, so pretty similar. So there's not going to be any excuse for tiredness. This is a huge game for Brisbane. I thought Brisbane at the start of the season would be a bottom 3 team. I didn't really rate their squad.
Yeah.
Because I actually didn't think Prather would be as good as he has been.
No.
And so it just goes to show that if one player can actually have an incredible season, it puts you right in the mix. So to me, Prather, Harrison, 2 keys to the game. Harrison potentially not playing or not, and Prather just being his explosive self.
Yeah.
So hopefully the Hawks at home can get the job done here. It's going to be a desperate game for the Hawks too if we end up losing to Melbourne. But if we beat Melbourne and they can beat Brisbane, they're going to pretty much lock up that top 2, I think. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Looking at the schedule moving forward, we've obviously got Melbourne, as we said, on tomorrow, or today if you're watching it when it airs. For us, it's tomorrow. And it's a big game, as we've said. It's a big game. We're going into it knowing that if we win, we pretty much lock in a top 2 spot, no matter what. The games that we've got then after that, we've got Brisbane at home on Monday, which, as we just said again, it's a desperation game for our opposition, knowing that their playoff spot is on the line for it. We then go to Cairns. And I just mentioned before, Cairns has nothing to play for now. They're out. They won't care.
Hopefully the Hawks are switched on because they beat us last time. So hopefully we switched on in that game and don't get our pants pulled down again.
And it's our summer shootout game. So we've said to the league that we will score over or at least 104 points in this game.
Is there a prize money for that?
I think it's about $50,000 for the club. And then whoever correctly guesses it for the fan wins $100,000 in cash.
Yeah, nice.
So nice little competition that they've got running. But then after that, we have quite a little bit of time.
Yeah,
and we have basically a week before then we go to Tassie. So we'll come home, we'll train, we'll relax a little bit, and then we'll fly out to Tassie, which If you're on our socials at the Hawks Hangout and the Basketball Fix on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you follow us from, I actually will be in Tasmania courtside with my dad watching the Hawks play the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers. Now, we'll have some exclusive game day footage for that one. But again, that's another game that has massive desperations for both teams.
Yeah.
The Hawks lose this Melbourne game. They're still fighting for a top 2 spot. The Jack Jumpers, they're falling down a little bit and they're fighting for a play-in spot.
They're fighting for that 6th spot. So, yeah, that's huge for Tassie. Then you look forward after that. We've got New Zealand in New Zealand. Is that right?
Yep.
And then our final game of the season against our arch rivals, the Sydney Queens, at the WEC.
Mhm.
We're at home. And then hopefully we're looking forward to the playoffs. So fingers crossed, my man. Enjoy tomorrow night, but enjoy your trip to Bali. Stay safe. Don't get any Bali belly. But before we go, I'm going to say a quick little shout out. I watched the Win News story last night, and they were talking. Trey Kell had a shout out to Tian. She's a massage therapist for the Hawks. And I know Tian. She's a great lady. And I thought it was great. And it summed up what the Hawks organization is about, looking at and appreciating the people who do the work behind the scenes. It's really important to do that. Trey Kell didn't have to say that. He got interviewed for just 10, 15 seconds. And that's what he talked about, shouting out to the massage therapist Tian for keeping them on the court. And it's been really good for the Hawks this year. Touch wood, we haven't had many injuries. And you can thank Tian for that. So love you, Tian. Keep your hard work up and go the Hawks.
Go the Hawks. Now, that is unfortunately all we have time for. A little bit of a shorter episode today, but short and sweet, exactly like me and exactly how all of the fans love it. Now, we will be bringing you some more coverage from our Instagrams. We'll be posting more reels. We'll be posting more player highlights. We'll potentially have some players on in the next few weeks coming. We'll see what happens with that. But as always, gamble responsibly, enjoy the game, and go the Hawks.
Fly, you Hawks, fly high.